Good afternoon, folks. I usually do a weekly video, and I think it's going to be a little bit tough. I got a lot of personal business to take tomorrow. Normally, I do them on Sundays, but I was talking to a client last night, somebody I'm working with, self-esteem and motivation, and they told me that they got into a conflict with their boss, and not so much a conflict, I should say. They've got in a discussion with a boss about something that happened at work, and they were going to argue with their boss, which was the other argue with their boss that they didn't do it. And the point was, I told them, they told me argue, and when I hear argue, not a good sign in itself. But when I talked to them about it, I said I would not argue with them, but I would maybe talk to them, on a rational point, but maybe there was some miscommunication. So as I started to dig further in there, there was some misunderstanding or miscommunication that occurred. And the tendency for a lot of employees and bosses is there's this miscommunication that occurs. And really, it's not indicative of the boss's fault or your fault. But the point that I was trying to tell this individual is just say that you sorry about the miscommunication and move on from it and correct the situation. I think what happens to a lot of people is they want to argue and think they want to say it's their point of view, which in a way is a validation of their ego, or their ego gets hurt. And to me, the way I told this individual, it's not something you take personally. It's just something that you fix the problem and you move on from it. Excuse me. A lot of people, what they do is they take it personally and they move on. There was a situation that I had a job maybe 6 or 7 years ago that I knew for a fact that was not a good fit for me, and then it was not a good fit for them. And even though I tried it, um, the guy that I know of, and it's in southern Arizona, we're still friends because the fact of the matter is, the issue was that it was not a good fit for me, and it was not a good fit for them. And the point is, we talked about it, and I haven't talked to him in several months. Was the fact that he said, "Oh, I wish this would have worked out," and my comment was, "Me too." So, in essence, it's almost like a football coach in a way. And then, like this year at NFL, they always have that, what they call that Black Monday at the end of the season, where coaches get fired. Sometimes things are just not a good fit, and we just have to move on from that. And it's not something that people should take personally. Something that I've learned, especially with me now with a psychology degree, sometimes things are not a good fit and you just move on from it. You try to make it work, but then you move on from it. But the other end about it is, if there's a problem there, then what you try to do is you fix the problem and you move forward on it and not take it personal. So what I trying to advise people today about this is, when you see yourself, if you're assigned something at work and something doesn't work out the way you want it to work out, you just move on. You fix the problem, move on. I have a tendency to, a couple clients I'm work with, is this is what I'm trying to tell them, is not to take the things personal. It's like, what's the old cliche? It's not personal, it's business. And it's just the same thing in life. Don't take things so personal, and just say, I rectify the situation and move forward on it. We're not perfect. We're not perfect human beings, and sometimes we're out of our realm of responsibility and are out of our realm of understanding something. So the point is that if you see it from a supervisor's point of view, and you have to say to yourself that I would appreciate somebody would say to me when I'm in a supervisory position, I'm sorry I messed up. I'll fix it, and we'll move on from there. And it's when my boss, or even in some other job, if I mess up, that say, I'm sorry about the mistake, or I'm sorry about the miscommunication, I'll make it right and fix the problem. I think a lot of times people take things, especially after it's post COVID, and we lost that interaction with people, and a lot of people were working from home. So there was not this interaction of dealing with things on a one-to-one basis. So we've got to get back into this situation of dealing with people on a one-to-one basis. Uh, this brings me to my final point. This also occurs in relationships. Sometimes a relationship can be very abusive. It can be also very trying on an individual. And it doesn't mean that one person's bad or this other person's bad. It just means that the relationship is not at its optimum level that it should be. This occurs even as friends, and also occurs with people that you're in a relationship with as well. And I told another client, I believe earlier in the week, that I've dealt with about relationships, and then I do help a friend of mine that does a relationship thing once a month. The only way you're really going to learn about somebody and find out if they're really that person who's right for you is able to spend time with them. And then a lot of times this whole thing now with internet dating, and also communicating with bosses like on Zoom and Team, is not this interaction. And people say, well, I'm going to do it. It's just that you have to admit that you made a mistake, and then you move on from that mistake. So, anyway, these are just some food for thoughts, folks. Please like and subscribe at the bottom. If you have any questions, feel free to reach out to me at bthomasmillerpsych at gmail.com. bthomasmiller at psych@gmail.com. Also, know that I have some books published. They're available on Amazon.com. They're under, I have Don't Buy That Lottery Ticket, which is a good book. And then I do have Empowerment and Change, which also helps with your issues on getting better self-esteem. Anyway, folks, have a great week, and hopefully I'll talk to you soon. Have a great week. Bye.